Hello and welcome back to Reeling in the Piers. My name is Gary O'Brien and this is where I get some of my very good friends on to chat about and discuss all kinds of movies. And joining me today, once again, it's Mark Tutty and he's here to talk about the 2021 superhero flick, The Suicide Squad. So stick around, we hope you enjoy. I can't believe you're wearing an Arsenal shirt.
Look, the big derby's on this weekend.
It is a big derby. Last weekend.
Last weekend.
Yeah.
I can't believe the result. 7-0 Arsenal. Who would have thought it?
Who would have thought? And Harry Kane came out of nowhere with a steel chair and just smacked Arteta to the back of the head.
I just can't believe they brought Messi on. I didn't think they signed him
Yeah,
already.
no, it was very surprising. It was all a trick. That's where we sent Harry Kane. We sent him off to scout Messi.
Yeah, it was shocking, really.
But yeah, so we're doing this in person. It's the first one we've done in person, and we've decided to both wear rival kits just to increase the hostility of the podcast studio, but also to represent two people coming together to achieve the end goal, much like the Suicide Squad, with all these people feuding with each other to kill a giant starfish.
Yeah, and it's a suiting name, the Suicide Squad. Spurs' other nickname.
For God's sake. I feel hurt.
But yeah, no, I'm happy to talk about it. No other news has happened lately. We don't now live together.
No.
That has not happened at all. It's been a while since I did the podcast, and it just became a case of living with someone that could do it made it so much easier to get it back up and started again. It's a fantastic movie though to get it up and starting with.
It is a very interesting movie to
There's
start.
There's a lot of points in the movie.
Because we went to go see this. When was that? The other day, and was this the first movie you went to cinemas for again recently?
It's my first pandemic new movie.
Oh,
yeah. So the only other cinema movies I've seen in a cinema has been like repeats of Lord of the Rings or something like that. Oh my god! Yeah.
So this was a fucking class movie to come back to.
Really reminds you, the cinema's good.
It's all so loud and bright.
That's what Fiona. Like we went with friends, and Fiona was like, "It is so bright. It's so loud. I don't like it."
What's funny so we went with Fiona, your girlfriend, who's a nurse, and she works in the emergency department and stuff. And I thought she'd be fine for this movie, but it's a very gory R-rated movie, and just to see her wincing at everything, I was like, oh wow, this movie is really hardcore.
Yeah, the deaths in this are gruesome. There's a lot of blood.
A lot of rats, and just body horror stuff as well.
Yeah, but it's done in a funny way.
Ah, yeah, it's all fun and games.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this movie is. So I know, just to stay on track with Fiona there for a sec. She hadn't seen the 2016 Suicide Squad, so when we were asking her, did she want to come to this? She goes, "Oh, is it a sequel? Is it a prequel? What is it?"
Yes.
Yes. The answer is yes.
It's a sequel, retelling, reimagining what the movie should have been. Better version of the first movie with the same characters sometimes
maybe, but not all of them.
Yes.
And others.
Yeah, it's very much done of this is a good concept, we kind of messed this up, let's do it again better.
And James Gunn had came out and someone had asked him in an interview what is it, and he goes, it is what it is. Yeah,
it's the best way to put it.
Is what it is.
And I like the way they don't try to pretend it's anything but. They don't try to re-explain what the Suicide Squad is.
You're dropped in it from the start.
Yeah, and if you're confused, I think you're fine. It's you don't need to be too confused.
No, I think you're fine. I don't know who. I don't think Fiona seemed to grasp it pretty well, and our other housemate Avra, I don't think she had seen the first one either. Or
no, I don't think so.
The previous one, I think we should call it. But I suppose for anyone that hasn't seen the last one, less so that, but knows what this is. What is this movie, The Suicide Squad, about?
So The Suicide Squad is pretty much it's a squad made up of prison inmates, the worst of the worst, who are sent off on this mission, which they don't know what the mission is about, for the government, completely undercover, Black Ops style, to do a job that'll probably get them killed.
Yeah.
It got them killed.
It got some
of them killed. It got some of them killed. That's in the ad. Some people are going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're casting your man from SNL, who completely slips my mind.
Pete Davidson.
Jesus. If he's being cast in a superhero movie, he's probably a superhero movie where the plot is that, if they don't, stay on board with the mission, there's a bomb in their head that'll blow up if they, disobey orders. You feel like Pete Davidson isn't going to be one of those people that stick around for the whole thing.
Yeah, so the deal is that if they do this, task for the government, for the Black Ops task, they get 10 years off the sentence.
Yeah.
They're all in jail for life, so why not? The prisoner in is a shithole, so they're all mad for it. And that's pretty much the movie.
That's it. And so, like, I guess, I know we kind of you roughly just talked on it there, but like, so comparing the two movies, I had actually written in my notes, is it better? But I'm going to ask you a better question. How is it better?
It's just what the concept was meant to be, and it's just not random karaoke playing at random times.
This does have some karaoke.
This does have some songs, but no, it's just the concept is better. It's well done. It doesn't get mixed up in terms of the joke is not in it at all. It's not really a spoiler.
Yeah.
It's not trying to be more. The threat is not what you think it is. It ends up being something ginormous, but it's not a beam in the sky played by Cara Delevingne that the first one was. It's like the threat is actually, you can see it. You kind of get what's going on. It's not shot completely dark. It's quite bright.
Wait, which is funny because David Ayer went on to he clearly his the feedback from Suicide Squad, it's too dark, so then he goes on and make a movie called Bright.
It's just a movie done better.
Yeah,
it's nearly the same movie, just done better in every way.
Yeah, so like I think a lot of it comes down to the first one was done by David Ayer, who did like, I think he wrote the script for Training Day, and he did a lot of like gangster kind of movies in a way, but not gangster, kind of like gang, sorry. And then what they did for this one was they got James Gunn, who a lot of people would know from Guardians of the Galaxy, because he was fired from the second one for putting just tweets he'd put up on Twitter. So he was fired, so DC were like, hey, you're good at getting a load of random characters, putting them on a team and setting music to it. We have got just the job for you. And yeah, I think his direction and his script as well is just way better. It's just so much more fleshed out than what David Ayer's come out and said like a lot of it was changed by the studio and stuff like that, but I think Warner Brothers just let James Gunn go for it, and it makes sense.
Yeah, you can tell, like, I've seen a few interviews with him. Apparently he had free reign to do what he wanted with this movie.
Yeah.
No characters off limits. He could do as much violence as he wanted. He could swear whatever he wanted. He could kill whoever he wanted.
Yeah.
It was all hands on deck, do what he wanted, and you could really tell.
And I think that's what benefits so much from, the first one kind of had like big-ish characters, I guess, like, they had Killer Croc and it had like Deadshot, like these would be kind of like big Batman kind of villains, so like you kind of knew they weren't going to die. When you saw Slipknot, you were like, first of all, who? Second of all, are you sure you don't mean the band famous from 2006? And then 3, oh, he's probably going to die soon. Whereas in this, they got a load of random characters that I didn't know about, but like definitely the general audience didn't know. Like, if I told you the Polka Dot Man, like, you'd be like, I'd never heard of that before. So I think having these kind of lesser characters in this movie just opens up the possibility of anyone could actually die. Yeah,
there's nobody you can say going into the movie they're probably safe.
Margot Robbie.
Maybe Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Maybe Idris Elba to start. You like they're big names. Apart from that, it's like, nah, they're all there for the taking.
And they've got like, so this is what's funny. So I was thinking to myself, so the last movie came out 5 years ago, 2016. I remember seeing it in a cinema in the hot city of Budapest. Anyway, and it's funny because this movie has come out exactly nearly 5 years later. And you know what I was thinking of the question. They sometimes interviewers will ask, and where do you see yourself in 5 years? Little did I think to myself that in 5 years' time I'll be watching a sequel, but also like a sequel, but not a sequel, but also a reboot, but not a reboot of this movie. Directed by the guy who did Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's going to have characters called Polka Dot Man, Ratcatcher 2, King Shark, John Cena, Pete Davidson, another one called Javelin and Mongol, like
the detachable guy,
the detachable kid, yes, or also as known in the comics, Arms Fall Off Man or something. It's something really on the nose like that in the comics. But yeah, there's just like, so like, the characters are just so rich because nobody's touched them, so you can do whatever you want with them. But then also the cast is unreal as well. Like, I don't know how they got as many kind of class actors as they did. Yeah, I think it's the definition of they had a very, very good script, a very good director, and were probably told you have a lot of freedom with this. Yeah. The cast was probably just like, yeah, this sounds like fun. Yeah. Also, half the cast was there for 5 minutes. Oh, shush. Everyone's allowed to the end, Mark. No spoiler. We're not in the spoiler section yet. So I guess, without too much spoilers, then, who's your favourite in the whole movie? I was a big fan of John Cena's character for a while. Yeah. Spoilers! Sorry, I'm bad at this on spoilers thing.
Rick Flag took a turn.
Yeah,
He's very good in it.
He doesn't seem as depressed as he did in the first
No,
one.
he could actually be happy.
Yeah.
But I think Polka Dot Man is going to be a lot of people's favourite.
Yeah, big fan of him.
Just because he has so many funny moments in it.
So yeah, for the comics, he used to throw polka dots at people. Now I know in the comics, I think it was like different polka dots did different things, whereas in this it's just like polka dots that are like death rays nearly.
I think I like the everyday hero of Milton.
Like that.
But no, I do think the scene stealer in most scenes is King Shark.
Yes,
like he is
surprisingly so.
Like he is somehow the heart of a lot of them.
Well, I would say nearly Ratcatcher 2 is the heart, but like he's pretty much done with King Shark what he did with Groot.
Yeah,
in that he got a very famous action star to come and do minimal voice acting for a role that would actually most people would enjoy. So he did that with Vin Diesel with Groot, and now he's done it with Sylvester Stallone and King Shark.
Yeah, no, it's a great like equivalence. Like, yeah, definitely, he's pretty much Groot.
Yeah,
and you just fall for him, like, oh,
yeah. So they're eating humans, tearing them in half.
But they're friends.
Yeah, they're friends. Just actually speaking of King Shark, the CGI in this, what did you think of it?
Good at times. Yeah, like there's some people who weren't that good. Like the Weasel wasn't that great. I don't think.
I've shit to say about the Weasel.
Yeah, the Weasel was a bit creepy, not that great. But King Shark, I think, held up. Didn't look out of place. And then the battle towards the end, everything looked good.
Yeah, like that's my thing. I was like, "Fuck, this looks good." I was so surprised at how good it looked because a lot of it's set during the day. There's some even like it's in the trailers as well. Like there's a fight scene with Harley Quinn, and there's a lot of like visual effects in that scene, and like. If you were to write it on paper, you'd be like, that almost sounds like it's going to be too distracting. But when you see it, it's like, this is beautiful. It's really, like I thought the effect, and then like some of the character design, especially towards the end, like you could go very wrong with that, but it looked real, which is weird to say.
Yeah, and mentioning character designs, I liked it when they went full comic book. And all the actors embraced it. Yeah. Like, they went full on, John Cena had toilet bowl on his head. They went,
it's a symbol of freedom, Mark!
They went full comic book, out and out. The big monster at the end, full on comic book accurate. Yeah. They didn't say, no, that looks stupid, let's make him into a grey blob.
Or like a cloud. Which is the usual DC motive.
So they fully went committing to like, do you know what? Comic books are colourful. Let's have a colourful movie.
And this is another thing I wanted to bring up, which was it's so weird when you think of how this universe, that's like rebooted universe. Let's start with Man of Steel, very gritty, down to earth. You know, not like you like the whole threat of aliens and superheroes didn't seem like a thing in this universe. But like as the thing goes on, I just love that DC are like, yeah, there's a witch, and yeah, there's an alien who's like, I just love that there's just all they're just really just going, fuck it, we've all these really interesting characters. Why are we trying to make it gritty and realistic? That's just boring. Do you know what I mean?
But what I'm happy as well with DC is that with more and more we're seeing different Batman movies coming out, they're not trying to connect them anymore. They've given up on an extended universe, which I am very happy with, because Marvel has that shit down. So DC just makes some good movies like this every so often, have them sign kind of related, but if they're not, just be like,
and that's, I'm kind of like, when you look at like, when you think that like, I don't know about you, but like two of the best DC movies to come out recently is Joker and Suicide Squad. Both R-rated, which Marvel aren't allowed to do. Both not connected, which Marvel's not allowed to do. And I'm just like, there seems to be one won an Oscar, like Joker won an Oscar for best acting. Marvel movies haven't done that. This is something like 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, which many DC movies hadn't done before this. I'm just like, the winning formula is there. Make it like, you know, lean into what you're known for and don't worry about connecting shit and you'll be fine.
Yeah, like it's proof they can do a good movie if you just don't worry about connecting it to every other movie. Don't try to catch up with Marvel. You can't do that. And
like, and especially when we talked about Fiona and Avril not have seen the other ones, like they could walk into this and they're up to date, whereas like if someone was saying, hey, do I need to know anything before I see Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantum Mania, and I'm like, oh boy. Like,
you have 26 hours to sit there.
Yeah, exactly. Anything, so yeah, I suppose, like, I guess, without giving too much away as well, like, where do you want to see this go? Do you want to see another sequel, or how do you think this could go? Like, I know, just, it's not spoilers, but like Peacemaker, John Cena's character, does have a HBO series announced to come out. I think it's like 8 episodes or something like that, so that's already announced. But like, in terms of like the movies, what do you want to see next?
I would honestly just like to see more movies, it sounds cliche, but like this. Not necessarily another Suicide Squad, but like potentially movies where it's not connected to this movie but with the characters in it. Yeah, I think there's room to explore in the likes of Rick Flag, which, since he's now charismatic, we won't say things about him, but like, he's now charisma in it. I think if they let Harley Quinn have another movie with an actual good writer in it, not just Birds of Prey, which was shocking, but like if they actually got it good, I think Amanda Waller, I think she still has places to go in this universe. I think her character is very interesting. It's just so brutal.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, definitely. Like, if they're happy to bring characters like this in, and they would like to do another Suicide Squad movie like this, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But I would just like to see where they go with maybe like just exploring people we haven't seen before in the universe, and just being so open to not being connected and having some mad shit going in it, having R-rated if the R-rated suits, but if not, tone it back a bit and have a more of a comedy movie, or like if you're gonna do a darker movie, it's just proof that in this big studio world, if you let good directors like James Gunn do what they want to do, you'll get a good movie with a good cast. It's just like the studio like could easily cut this up to shite and you would have got the first movie again. This Suicide Squad original one. But this is just proof. Let a good director do what he wants with good characters who, if you don't know them, you'll grow to like them. So I think that's just what I'd like to see going forward.
Absolutely. I think for me, I would just like to see a new director take it each time. Like a new really... Just like I couldn't I couldn't think of a director off the top of my head, but just like imagine, I know not the same, but like imagine Quentin Tarantino just the Suicide Squad, but you can't call it the Suicide Squad, you can't call it Suicide Squad, call it the Suicide Squad, or also the Suicide Squad, or I don't know, you can think of names, but yeah, I think I'd just like to see different directors come in and take, just because every mission is different. Missions don't need to connect. There doesn't need to be anything particular. Like I think you could just have. I don't know, someone like Edgar Wright. Hey, do a Suicide Squad movie. Make it a heist movie with all the characters, like, and add whatever characters you want. They have a shit ton. They go watch The Flash or The Arrow on the CW. Like, they use the absolute dregs of those the DC characters. Get a couple of those and use them for a movie. I think that's what I want to see.
Yeah, I think that's a great concept, of just having different directors come in. This is your go. What characters do you want? No one's clearly too wacky. We have Polka Dot Man in this.
Yeah.
They can make them work if you give them the writing. I think that'd be a great concept. Just, do you know what? Let's get Edgar Wright in. Let's get Tarantino in. Let's get whoever in.
It's really hard to think of directors on the spot, isn't it?
I know, yeah.
Hold on. Let me Google famous director. Oh, get Martin Scorsese to do one. Get Robert De Niro as Clayface.
But I do think a lot of top actors would be on board for that as well.
Imagine a Tim Burton Suicide Squad. Like, I know Johnny Depp would play every character, but still... I'm just looking here like imagine a Wes Anderson Suicide Squad movie. This concept is golden. I reckon they could do it.
Yeah, and I think they would probably make money if they keep
money.
Yeah. So here's out DC.
There you go, DC. Mark and Gary have got a concept for you.
We'll only be producers. It's okay.
Producers is a lot of work. We should just do executive producers. Just get that cash dollar.
Get that name in right.
Exactly. Get the parking spell on the lot, and then get the name right.
So I never actually asked you, who is your favourite character?
Who is my favourite character? John Cena, 100%. I think so. Like, I'll quickly run through all the characters just really quickly, and if you want to jump in anyone else. So like Margot Robbie, There's something I want to talk about a bit later on about the character, but it's probably one of the best performances. I think it's because the script is so good. She's not tied down by any ridiculous shit with the Joker or any like lazy plot points with Birds of Prey or shit like that.
But if you've seen her in the first two movies she's done, you won't be surprised.
Yeah, like it's not like anything too far afield, but she just feels more natural. I think not even the actor. I think just the character itself. Like there's a kind of a side plot she kind of has that I just think probably could have been changed a bit, but she's having fun. I love it. Idris Elba, that man just is fucking class and everything, and it boggles my mind how he can't have a franchise of his own or shit like that.
Yeah, he was perfect in this.
When you consider he wasn't actually supposed to be in it.
Yeah, you can tell it was written for completely.
Why? Because there's a guy who's good at shooting and also his kid is being used against him for leverage?
Yeah, you'd never know. They just slightly changed the name. But I think he's good. I'm actually happier with him in it than Will Smith.
His character's so much better.
Yeah. He's not overly charismatic. He's more gritty and kind of he suits the movie better, I think. Yeah. I just can't imagine the over charismatic Will Smith in this at the moment.
Yeah, like, so I think Will Smith tried to make it the Will Smith movie in the first one, and was very much like, I want to have all the jokes, I want to do all the cool things, but I don't think he played Deadshot. I think he just played Will Smith in this movie, whereas who the fuck is Bloodsport? I don't know what Bloodsport is. All I know is he's got guns on him, and he takes out like a square, and that square becomes like a shotgun or so. It's hard to explain.
And he's a weird crossbow type thing.
Yeah, that was like the character design is unreal.
He has small bullets.
He's small bullets, and he's great in it. And I'm just like, he's fantastic. I want to see his character again, and it's nothing to do with it. It's just Idris Elba being in a DC movie do it with cool superpowers. I don't care that it's a character I haven't heard of. And like John Cena's Peacemaker, it's like someone who's designed to be so PG from his wrestling days has really just enjoyed going off and doing like blockers and what's that other one with what's her face, Amy Schumer, what's that called, Trainwreck. And in this he is just fucking, it's fantastic. So I'll say
no, I was gonna say he nails it.
Yeah.
He's really good on the trend of wrestlers being surprisingly good actors.
Yeah,
I've fallen in the line of like The Rock and that, and he's just generally good in the whole movie.
Dave Bautista
As
he's
well.
actually supposed to be in this. He was supposed to play King Shark, but apparently he was off recording or shooting Army of the Dead with Zack Snyder.
Oh.
I think still Sylvester Stallone's better. I think Rick Flag, like you said, did like he was just like, he wasn't great, but he was just better than what he was in the first one. King Shark is fantastic. Amanda Waller, yeah, I'll get to her. But anyway, I think for me it's a tie between John Cena, because that character is fantastic and the acting's fantastic, but also, and as I'm gonna butcher this name, David Dashmalchian as the Polka Dot Man. I think those are my top two.
Yeah. That's fair. I think everyone would be pretty much.
But also, I'm gonna call him Dave. I'm gonna call him Double D if that's okay, because it's David Dalmash. I'm gonna call him Double D.
That's fair.
Okay, so Double D. What I love about Double D is he's been in this, he's been in Ant-Man, he's been in The Dark Knight, and he's been in the Flash TV series. So I think he's been in more comic book stuff than anyone else. But yeah, I think those are my top two, 100%. And like, yeah, so I guess for people that like, I don't think we spoiled too much anyway. But I guess
you haven't.
What?
But you haven't.
Well, you spoiled you spoiled to me the Arsenal fixture on Sunday. But yeah, so I guess like, who is the, so for anyone that hasn't seen this, I suppose, and maybe is on the fence of going to see it, because like it is in the cinemas only, like what would you, who's this movie for? Who would you kind of recommend this to?
Definitely anybody who's seen previous comic book movies and enjoyed them, then yes, definitely. If you've seen movies such as Shaun of the Dead or kind of just action horror movies where you're okay with gore, definitely see it. If your favourite movie is The Godfather and you've never seen anything outside the art house, give it a miss.
If you love The Kissing Booth 1, 2 and 3.
Yeah, maybe it's not for you. It's quite violent, but I do think most people will enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's a very easy movie to watch. It does feel a bit long, but like it doesn't feel over.
Like, that's another thing as well. Like, I knew it was long, but when I came out of the cinema, I didn't feel like I was sitting in the cinema for ages, but I felt like I'd watched something because there's so much in it and the pacing is great. You don't feel like it's dragging. So like, that was one of my things, but I have in my notes, it's like long but not long.
Yeah, no, like it feels like a long movie that's not long. As in, there's a lot in it. It's like, geez, they're still going, they're still doing things, but you're not like, oh, I wish this was end. It's quite good. So I think anybody who just is an easygoing cinema person who, if you're going to be artsy-fartsy and all that about it, just be like...
Well, I will say, there's some beautiful shots in it. There's some really good like character moments as well.
Oh, so yeah, no, there's some fantastic character in it as well, and you care about the characters. Like, I do think it's a movie for pretty much everybody will enjoy.
Yeah, I think for me, it's all like... And it's funny because my mom was the other day, she's like, oh, I heard that Suicide Squad thing is good. I was like, don't watch it, you're not gonna like it. I think that my main warning for people is it's way more violent, gory and rude than you'd probably expect it to be. I think there is a lot of violence in it, and there's like some bits where you're like you kind of look away and shit. So like that would be my only warning, I guess. But kind of how I'm pitching this is, imagine an R-rated Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
that's kind of it. I know it's the same guy who did Guardians of the Galaxy, but just imagine James Gunn being like being able to show more blood and guts and sex and rock and roll.
Yeah, pretty much. Don't bring the kids unless you're a cool parent.
Unless you're gonna let them have a smoke outside. Okay, cool. Will we leave it there for spoilers? I guess it's a for should you watch, should you not watch. I think it's a should you watch.
Yeah, I think it's cross-watch. You should watch it.
Right, spoilers. Who do you want to talk about? Who dies, Mark?
Who dies? That opening scene, that beach scene.
My love for Harry Kane. Yeah, that beach scene at the start is unreal.
Such a good scene.
And I think that's one of my favourite things about this movie is the timing of it, like how it's written, how it's flown, because we kind of see one thing happen and we're like, what the fuck's that about? And then it goes 3 days later or 3 days earlier, and it kind of plays with time a lot during it, so you kind of keeps you guessing. Yeah,
I love the fact that the whole first half of the cast has been sent to this beach for a fight, purely to be a distraction for the second half of the cast to sneak in the back. There's no other thing about them except to be killed and a distraction. Yeah. That was their only goal.
And yeah, we're in spoilers now, so we're going to talk about who dies as well. It's who you probably expected. It's your Pete Davidson as Dick Hertz, or Richard Hertz as his character's called, or Blackguard, I think the name of the character is. I don't know anything about it, but yeah, he dies, which is to be expected.
The only one I was surprised about at the start was Jai Courtney.
Oh my god, Captain Boomerang! Because I, as many people would know, I do love doing an Australian accent the odd time, but like for this, I was just like, would have liked him sticking around. He was one of my favourite parts of the first movie.
I can verify he likes accents. I did with him.
Sometimes I'm not even pressing record and I'm just doing accents to myself.
But yeah, him dying I was very surprised at.
Yeah.
Everybody else at the
I think
start,
you needed to kill someone like up top to kind of show you were serious.
Yeah, definitely. I think he was a good person to die. They couldn't kill Harley Quinn straight away.
Yeah.
And Rick Flag had stuff to do later on.
Yeah.
To a degree.
Although if you told me after the first movie which of these should you kill, Captain Boomerang or Rick Flag, I would be like, yeah, Rick Flag, give it him.
Yeah, but I think Rick Flag was used very well for the
the
next scene.
Yeah, no, I know, but like I just meant, 5 years ago, I don't know who the polka dot man is. I'm sweating in a city world in Budapest. I would like kill this guy. But also another just quick thing on Captain Boomerang, because again, we actually, do you know what? It's really obvious who dies because I don't think we talked about like Captain Boomerang in the non-spoiler section.
True.
But I would like to see him use his powers a bit more, because remember the first one, I think the Weekly Planet boys, like he throws like 4 boomerangs in the first movie, and I think we see him throw like 2 in this.
I like the surprise of following Savant for the first opening scene.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Like he's a weird character to follow.
It's because what's his face? James Gunn loves what the fuck's his name?
Michael Rooker.
That's it. So I think he was like, fuck it, I'll let the opening be him.
Yeah, so I was surprised at that, but it was nice to see it from like a completely random person's view.
Yeah. Because how does the first one start? The Suicide Squad. How does that start?
It starts with an introduction to all the characters, I think.
Oh, does it?
With like the karaoke roll of this is Harley Quinn. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, it does. Because I was just trying to think. So that came out in what, 2016? So that was 2 years after the Guardians of the Galaxy. So they were clearly trying to copy that in a much more poor manner.
Yeah.
No, this doesn't wait. This one doesn't even fuck. And I love the character instruction where they're like walking through the cell and they're like, this is King Shark. He's a descendant of the shark gods. Next.
Yeah. I did enjoy the joke where like, well, it's actually with the next group where you get Idris Elba's character, Bloodshot. He's told he's a great shot. He does all this, and then he
tortured by his father, has been training ever since he was born.
He is unique. Then you get the Peacemaker, the exact same.
Yeah,
he is also unique. And it's just like a little throwback. There's a lot of throwback jokes in it.
Yeah, like there's some recurring bits in it that are. I have one in particular that I just know is like absolutely top notch. Can we talk about someone who I hated for a lot?
Yes.
Weasel.
Yeah.
I loved the concept of Weasel, because Weasel's just like a large weasel, and he's just like, he doesn't know what's going on around him. He just fucking, like, he's just screaming and shouting the whole time. But just what annoys me about it is it's played by James Gunn's brother, Sean Gunn. Now for David Scanlon's listening right now, maybe I don't know. I think did you come to see Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
No.
Okay, I have an issue with James Gunn and nepotism, and I'm going to air this on the podcast right now, because he cast his brother as Rocket. Or Groot. I think it's Rocket. And then he was like, oh, now bring him in as like one of the Ravengers, but it's like one of the important Ravengers that don't die. So now Sean Gunn's always flopping about the place. And now in this he plays Weasel, and then Weasel's always flopping about the place. Then Sean Gunn also plays, the Calendar Man as well in Belgrave prison and stuff. And then he put his parents... Nepotism. I'm annoyed by it. Anyway, spoiler alert, Weasel dies and then he's back to life again, just so fucking James Gunn could put his brother in another fucking movie. All
I thought of Weasel, especially at the end of it, was that he dies straight away, and in post-credit he comes back to life. He drowns. No one checked if the Weasel could swim.
that is actually one of my, like, it's because I think with Suicide Squad you expect that they're always going to die with the bombs blown up in their head, and that only happens once in the first one.
Yeah.
Whereas in this they were just like, they can, just because the bombs in their head doesn't mean that's how they're going to die. They can die for other reasons, and I think Weasel they all jump out of the plane to fucking fall into the water, and then no one checks if the Weasel could swim and he drowns. I'm just like, that's just hilarious.
Yeah, that is. All I was thinking was the little animated guy from Ice Age.
Oh, Mark, you silly bastard.
That's who I thought of with Weasel, because he had the little runner.
Yeah, that's true actually. Yeah.
So try and see that.
Oh no! I care for the Weasel again. But yeah, so like, and then like the detachable arm guy or detachable kid.
That was my favourite scene.
With
detachable arm guy. So basically, everyone's using their powers. So a detachable arm guy stands up like, I'm going to use my powers. His arms just float and start flapping the soldier's face, and and that's why I bet you just James Gunn was like, who is so ridiculous I can put in this just to like fail. Yeah, like there's the javelin guy who does nothing, and he has his death scene where he can't get the words out, and that was very. In fairness, once I seen that javelin, I kind of knew what was going to happen with that at the end.
Yeah.
That was very.
Oh god, yeah, the literal bullseye.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think like Mongal, she's just in it to be in it. Same.
What's Mangal's powers?
Oh, I had it written earlier and I deleted it. Hold on.
Because you said this to me earlier and I forgot.
Yeah, I said like Mark was like, I need to remember the characters. I'm like, I remember some of them, like, you know, Dick Hertz and Javelin and Mongal, and Mark was just like this sheer look of terror in your face. Who's Mongal? So Mongal is an alien mass murderer with genocidal tendencies.
She jumped out of a plane.
Way to belittle the character.
This intergalactic genocidal person.
Yeah, no, she jumped on the plane.
Jumped on the plane and died.
She fucking jumped on the plane. She died.
Burned to death.
Anakin
Skywalker style.
Savant gets his head blown off because he gets all panicky and swims away. Birds. Can we talk about birds very quickly? Because
Yes.
Lily Nolan wanted me to make sure I mentioned the fact that James Gunn hates birds.
Yeah, he does not like them. I think the opening scene sets the tone of the movie fantastically. When
Yeah.
you get Savant just killing the bird in the cell.
For no reason.
For no reason with the tennis ball. It also shows that he's got skills. So I think, okay, that was a cool scene. Later on, another bird dies. Later on, they burn a load of parrots.
They burn a fucking birdhouse down.
So then it's like, okay.
Calm down, James Gunn.
Something's happened here.
So yeah, I just had to get that point out. So that's kind of team one, isn't it? Like Harley Quinn's there, Rick Flag's there, and then on team two, there's no one else we haven't. Actually, so here's we probably should have talked about it in the non-spoiler section, which was Ratcatcher 2. What do you think of Ratcatcher 2?
Good. I appreciate that she's the heart of the movie.
Yeah,
but I don't like her that much.
See, for me, it was why they never explained why she's so sleepy.
Because she's a millennial.
Was that the joke?
That was the joke.
That's a piss poor joke.
No, because she's sleepy, and then John Cena goes, millennials.
But I just thought that was more his character, like, hating millennials because he's, like, super conservative, rather than her just being a millennial.
No, I assume that's as far as that joke went.
Oh, that was a bad joke.
Yeah, I liked her. I thought she was fine.
She's good. No, I think that's the first. I'm definitely wrong in saying that's the first thing I've seen her in. But like, it's one of the first things I can recall I've seen her in as Gary.
I think that's her first big role.
She's great in it.
Yeah.
She definitely held her own with everyone else. Like, even some of the bits where she's like being super friendly to King Shark as well. It's great.
Yeah, no, she does bring it down a level. Like, it's nice, and in fairness, her power is quite cute. Her little rabbit, her little rat.
Yeah. Well, what are your feelings towards rats, Mark?
I don't mind them as much as other people in this movie.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. There's a bit at the end, but we'll talk about it. But like with the rats at that, I was like, nah, I'm checked out now.
Yeah, they have a problem in that island. And
they do. So yeah, sorry. So yeah, we'll cut to the end very quickly. Which is they go to this island. Where is it? Monty. What's it called?
Middle of
no, because remember what's her face? Harley Quinn is trying to remember Corto Maltese.
Yeah.
With the Corto Maltesians. And she uses her rat powers to like take down the big monster at the end. But there's a lot of motherfucking rats. And I know there's always this thing about, there's more rats than you fucking know, but man, did James Gunn have shit to say about Corto Maltese and their rat infestation.
Like, there's more rats than there is land.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
There's a few bits I want to talk about about that end fight, so I can jump to it now if you want.
Oh no, I'll tell you what, because there's not like, I don't want to do like the whole like bit by bit.
Yeah.
Another, like one of my other favourite scenes is when they invade that camp.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that scene is fantastic. It's actually a nice little, I feel like it's a very smart play by Amanda Waller. Mm-hmm. I don't think the plan was ever to save Rick Flag. The plan was always to kill the rebels.
Oh yeah.
They never wanted Rick Flag. They wanted to kill the rebels.
That's a good shout, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, Rick Flag gets captured, which we think
he's been captured. Yeah, because off the first beach assault, the only two people to survive are Harley Quinn and Rick Flag, and there was a second team with what's your face, Bloodsport, Idris Elba, Polka Dot Man, King Shark, Ratcatcher, and John Cena.
Yeah, so Rick Flag gets captured, but he actually gets saved by these rebels who are trying to overthrow the government. Mm-hmm. But what we find out later on is that the US actually wants this government to stay in power because they kind of get it's a puppet government for them, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happens all over the world all the time.
Mark Tutty, telling the real news on Reeling in the Fierce.
But anyway, so these rebels are trying to overthrow the government, but obviously the US don't want this. So it turns out, by pure coincidence, Rick Flag does get saved by them. Mm-hmm. So Amanda Waller is like, no, go save Rick Flag. He's been held captive. Kill everybody. Leave no trace. there are some fantastic deaths.
So it's like, because so Bloodsport and Peacemaker, John Cena and Idris Elba, both fantastic, by the way. I can't stress that enough. And they're kind of trying to, they're both like leaders, and you know, Bloodsport is said to be the leader on the team, but like John Cena is also trying to like take that role off him. So they're kind of being like super macho for the whole like trying to kill people more creatively, and I fucking loved it. It's like, I don't know what it says about me being like, kill more, kill more, kill more. But like, when you find out the rebel camp, you're like, oh no.
Yeah, like there's so many fantastic deaths. The best one is the guy sleeping and just axed.
Oh, like chop, 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 chop.
Yeah, chopped up like a chef at a quick bit of sausages. And
Chop,
like
chop, 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 chop.
Yeah, just destroys them. What's funny actually, just talking about Peacemaker and Bloodshot, is they're actually complete opposites to each other. So effectively, like, Bloodshot is a guy who thinks he's bad doing good, while Peacemaker is a guy who thinks he's great doing bad.
Yeah.
So they're complete opposites to each other.
Like, yeah, didn't he have a thing where he's like, I will kill every man, woman and child who gets in the way of peace and freedom.
Yeah, it's just so over the top American, but like, yeah, that death scene of where they just kill the whole camp is fantastic.
It's so great. It's so good.
It's like, it's a way better version of like the macho overmatching each other of Fast and Furious 8.
I haven't seen it.
Of 7?
I've seen 9, and I think the last one I saw was 5.
Oh, then never mind.
No, go on. What is it?
No, there's a scene where The Rock and the other guy in that movie, Jason Statham, are going down a hallway.
Hobbs and Shaw.
It's
also starring Idris Elba.
Yeah,
for their later movie.
It's where they're going down a hallway and beating up separate people opposite each other. It's in the trailer.
I saw that in the trailer.
Yeah. So it's like that type of scene where they're trying to outdo each other each time, but it's done well.
Yeah. But even like small little things like John Cena like clapping like Idris Elba when he does something impressive.
Yeah, like there's a great line where he's like, no one likes to show off. It's but people like show off when they do something cool. Yeah.
And then Idris Elba's like, you know what, he's got a point.
Yeah. So it's a fantastic scene in that. There's some fantastic funny moments in it. It's probably the funniest comic book movie.
Ooh. I need that one with me.
Especially the first 45 minutes.
It's the most. It's definitely one of the most comedical.
Yeah.
Funniest though, that's I'm gonna have to come back to me on that. Howard the Duck is pretty horrendous. And that's not anything to do with what we're talking about. I just want to let people know Howard the Duck is horrendous. Probably like again like. But like I think some of it is like that Marvel humor, whereas like I wouldn't say Marvel movies are funny. I just think they've got that Marvel humor of. Yeah, no, I don't know. Leave it with me. I'll think of something.
I thought it was very funny.
Yeah. Other kind of cool like scenes in it was, I guess, one person we haven't talked about is I was going to say Lewis Capaldi. We should appreciate some good Lewis Capaldi. He's got some good bangers out there.
Did you know I follow him on Instagram before he's famous? I thought he was a funny guy.
Matt, you bring that up every day. But Peter Capaldi, we didn't talk about him much. He plays the Thinker.
Yeah, a bit underused.
But I think that what they do with him is pretty good.
Yeah, he's used well. You can tell he's effectively just a smart guy who steps ahead of people and stuff like that.
But he's a bit fucked.
He's a bit fucked in the head.
I think he's like, sorry to cut you off, but I just want to say, like, you know, like this movie is kind of like Guardians Let Loose. I think his character, the Thinker, is kind of like Doctor Who Let Loose, and like he could be as fucking R-rated and weird as he wants. He'd be like, yeah, shove a rat up my ass. I'd like it.
Yeah, he'll say.
That's not a joke, by the way. He says that in the movie.
No, I think he's good in it. If he wasn't in the movie, I don't think it would change much.
No.
But no, he's good. He just adds to the weirdness, the way he looks.
Yeah.
It really sets the scene as well.
His head looks like the coronavirus.
I like the scene that they meet him in, that bar scene.
Yeah, I kind of missed some of that because I had to go to the Jacks, but what I did see was John Cena's dancing and Polka Dot Man's dancing, which was just top notch.
Yeah, so they have a bar scene. They have to meet this guy in the bar. Well, find him in the bar, but they decide to get drunk and start dancing.
Sorry, can I just cut you off very quickly? So I wrote funniest superhero movies into Google. Would you like to hear? This is horrendous. Okay, funny superhero movies. Birds of Prey. This is on Google now. Thunder Force.
Oh no.
Suicide Squad. Shazam. Scoob. Charlie's Angels. Not the old ones. And Spider-Man Far From Home. Continue with your bar point, sorry.
Oh wow. No embarrassing, I just think it was very good. It reminds me of the scene from the Winter Soldier and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Mm-hmm. Where, you know, they have that scene in...
Oh, the yeah.
It became a meme.
Thief Island.
Yeah. It reminds me of that scene. They're just clearly having a good time, being let loose. They don't know how to have a good time. Polka dot man. He just sees his mom everywhere.
Yeah, can we talk about that? That's one of my favourite running jokes. Polka dot man.
So you might have missed it, the bar scene. So
no, I saw the one where I saw that. Yeah.
So his running thing is he has mammy issues. He hates his mom.
Yeah.
The reason he has powers is because his mom did test on him as a child.
She didn't look like a scientist. I know it's a weird thing to say, but she kind of looked more mammy than evil scientist.
Yeah, she looked friendly enough.
Yeah.
From the punching. But his thing is he sees everybody as his man.
Because it was like, what's your motivation to kill? And he goes, I just see I can't remember how he says it, but he's just like, anytime he sees anyone that he wants to like, no, he just sees his mom, yeah. Sorry.
I think his thing is that he sees everybody as his mom no matter what.
Yeah.
So anybody he talks to, it's his mom. So I feel like he's fit to kill anybody at any time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's some fantastic jokes and like I said he's one of my favourite characters. Milton.
I don't think Milton is the funniest character so much as the concept of Milton, the scene. Yeah. I was wondering what he was doing. So there's a character called Milton who kind of like is like a bus driver nearly, and not bus driver, but he's their transport, and he's kind of following them in, and then at one point he dies, and Polka Dot Man takes it to heart. He's like, no, Milton died. Like some people are like, who the fuck's Milton?
Milton's in this movie. So there's a bit I know you want to get to, and that is Harley Quinn's random adventure by herself.
Yeah. So this. I didn't think much of it at the time, but the person I love on YouTube, Grace Randolph, made a good point where it's kind of like every time we see we see Harley Quinn in a movie, is her plot, anything with her plot is always to do with another guy who likes her but she doesn't like back. So there's the Joker, there's Ewan McGregor doing a weird performance of Black Mask, and now there's this guy, and it's just like, hey, wouldn't it be great for Harley Quinn just to be Harley Quinn and not like to be desired by someone who ends up being a psychopath and stuff? And it's like, what would have happened if she said no to this guy, and like even that she's like idolizing, I like love being this Quarto Maltesian princess, but I'm like, yeah, but if you said no, you were probably gonna die. And it's just a bit weird. It's a bit like, look, it's a bit off, but then again, she gets the upper hand by the end of it as well. So anyway, the reason I wanted to bring it up was because Grace Randolph made a great point, which was, wouldn't it be great if Harley Quinn just swears off men after this and embraces the love and affection of Poison Ivy, which in the comics they are a thing. And I think for like a next movie with Harley Quinn, I'd love to see her and Poison Ivy as a couple or something like that. Yeah,
no, it'd be very good. I never actually thought of it that way.
Again, like I took it as face value, and then when someone highlighted it to me, I was like, oh yeah, that is a bit,
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Definitely think she could have done more in the movie. I would like to see her with like the main cast more often as well.
Yeah.
But I think she had some good moments as well. I will talk about it now. I didn't like the javelin scene at the end.
Look, we'll get to the javelin scene, but can we talk about how she did use the javelin earlier in the movie?
Yeah, she does it fantastically while her escape scene.
Yeah,
it's one of the like highlights of the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
She escapes. She shows her skills. There's a scene that reminds me so much of Wanted with Angelina Jolie, where she spins around shooting the guns.
Yes,
that's all I could think of in the cinema.
By far, in my opinion, the best Harley Quinn action scene that I can think of anyway. Because in Suicide Squad, she's just baiting people with a baseball bat and they're just disintegrating. Birds of Prey, there's that horrendous fight scene in the funhouse. This, just the choreography, the shooting of the people, the use of the javelin, the special effects as well, like, it to kind of show that she is a bit mad, she is insane, like that's the character, and that's kind of shown with, even though all this death and murdering is going on, she still sees it as a beautiful experience.
Yeah, she's having the time of her life.
Yeah.
No, it shows her as like a really good character in terms of she can actually kill people, she can fight people properly, not just like in the first, comparing to the first Suicide Squad, she's in fighting these guys everyone's shooting with a baseball bat.
Mm-hmm.
The random zombies they're fighting in the original
Oogly Boogly Man.
Oogly Boogly Men. She's just hitting them with baseball bats and they're dying while everyone else is using guns.
Yeah.
You're like, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
But in this, she's giving guns, she's giving javelins, she has knives, she's like properly fighting with the actual equipment she should be using.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think she's used a lot better in this.
And we'll get to your javelin thing. We'll get to what I know you hate the javelin bit at the end, but we'll get to the javelin bit at the end.
Thank you.
And yeah, like there's the whole thing of like, so yeah, I guess the main reveal is that they're keeping this Quarto Maltesian uprising is trying to get hold of this weapon that's kept in this building called Jotunheim, and what's there is a big alien starfish called Starro the Conqueror.
Yes, there's a bit in that. There's a bit in that sentence you just said.
What?
There's a lot in that sentence you
just said.
There's a lot,
yeah, there's a lot. Like Starro was a comic book character that I don't think anyone ever thought would be able to be transcribed to the screen. I think this did it perfectly, and I like. How else could you do it?
Yeah, so his thing is that he grows bigger and bigger as he infects more people with his little starfish that he sends out of his armpit.
Yeah.
And then he just gets more and more powerful, and he can take over the world eventually, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a few things I have questions with him though.
Yeah.
I don't know if I just didn't follow or if it wasn't in the movie. No one controls him. Right? No.
He's his own dude.
He's his own dude, but was he pretending to be able to be controlled?
No, I think what happened was the thinker, Peter Capaldi, uncle to Lewis Capaldi, who Mark was finished following on Instagram before he's famous, had the things put in his head to be able to communicate with him.
Okay.
But I think he was literally just trapped and he just couldn't get out.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Okay, so like the plan of him taking over the world with Starro was never going to work.
No, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was a case of like, hey, let me just help grow you and like have a communication like thing, and that's why he was doing all the testing and stuff like that.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, it's very vague.
Well, he was talking about having. I think that was implied that he had sex with like some of them, didn't it?
Was it?
I think he said something weird. Is like he was like Starro was getting annoyed. He's like, you've taken advantage of us, and it was kind of like weirdly, and he goes, whoa, well, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Oh, I do remember that being odd.
Yeah, remember that? So he's a bit of a weird fucker.
Yeah.
No pun intended. But yeah, like I get, yeah. So this just laying it like bringing that sort of body horror stuff I was talking about earlier, where it's just like this weird thing is like once this starfish infects your face, you're gone, you're dead, and you can't come back from it because they can't remove it for you without you dying. And this all shows them when they go to this like facility that they're doing tests on them, and there's people with like their legs chopped off, and people with the thing coming off his face. It's disgusting. It's really horrible.
That scene is rough enough. Like it's the one gruesome one that I really like.
And that's what I was kind of saying earlier. I was like, sometimes it's a bit violent for the sake of being violent, I thought, or like gory.
Yeah, like the kills and all are just violent kills. They're fine, but that scene was a bit like, oh,
yeah. If I saw someone's head, someone's chopped off, I'm like, that's grand. But like when you see like torture, I don't know. Just from a cinematic point of view, it's a bit. I think Fiona said it great, where she was like, "I've seen blood, and that's not blood."
That sounds like a war veteran. I've seen some dark shit in my days.
But yeah, like I don't know, like I guess like yeah, like that end scene battle, like I think there was a few bits in the whole thing where it was like clearly when the building is falling at the end, you can see that they're clearly just on a green screen and nothing's falling behind them, but they have to pretend to be running from shit. Yeah,
like it's one thing I love the movie, but when the main group is formed, there's a bit of plot armor going on, bar one or two, as in characters, you should be dead.
Yeah,
you should be dead.
It just like we have to mention Idris Elba's titanium daredevil knees, where he's like falling from floor to floor.
But I kind of enjoyed the joke.
I enjoyed it, but it was just like if again, how much like who am I to try and make logic of his knees would break while there's a giant like 50-foot starfish going infecting the population of Corto Maltese.
You're just afraid of knees being sore.
I am. It's a dangerous thing. Everyone needs to go get your knee checked.
Yeah, I do think like there's definitely a bit of plot armor going on with guys at the end. Like, I wanted to ask people after the cinema straight away, but we were rushing off. Why did no one in the Suicide Squad get starfish on their face?
Yeah, it's really stupid, isn't it?
Yeah, that bit frustrated me.
Yeah, it was like, are you telling me the army didn't think to block their face, but only the Suicide Squad did?
But even then, there's loads of them on the floor just there. And
because like they came out of his armpit, but are you saying once they hit the floor, they can't jump back up again? Yeah, it's a bit stupid.
Yeah, so that bit frustrated me a bit. Took me a bit out of it, but like again, it's a 50-foot giant starfish. Yeah, what do you expect?
And just to loop back quickly, because you kind of mentioned it, you touched on it briefly in the non-spoiler section. John Cena, you started hating him for some reason.
Yeah, so he takes a turn. So effectively, he's the only guy in on the plan of the US government wants this to happen, of keeping the they knew this was happening, they're kind of sponsoring it a little bit, and they find a hard drive with all the proof on it. But John Cena's like, no, that can't come back. We've been ordered not to bring that back. So John Cena,
or just destroy it.
To destroy it. So Rick Flag gets hanged. So Rick Flag wants to bring it back, because this is one of his redeeming moments as well. So he's like, no, we're bringing this back. We need to show the world what the United States have done. Yeah. And so basically, Peacemaker, John Cena's like, no, this is being destroyed. So they have a fight, and he kills Rick Flag. But then the Ratcatcher 2 girl, she gets it, and then John Cena's about to kill her, and then last minute,
and then it's that thing in this movie which I love, which is like 5 minutes later, earlier.
Yeah, 5 minutes earlier, and then eventually it comes up to Idris Elba's character falling down, like you mentioned earlier, the superhero landings the whole way down the building, to landing on the exact floor as to where Peacemaker's about to shoot Ratcatcher.
Yeah.
And shoots him first.
Yeah,
and saves
with
her.
a spot, because I think they were talking about like, I can shoot you through like dead center, or I can shoot your dead center. It's like, that's not possible because it is with smaller bullets. And then later on in the movie we see that happen.
And that also reminded me of Wanted, because that happens in
Yes,
Wanted
it
when
does.
they shoot the
It
bullets. So I was
does.
like,
Oh my God.
James Gunn has watched Wanted lately.
Maybe James Gunn has just been reading that magical weave and he's like, I have a new script for.
I want to find out, was James Gunn a producer on Wanted?
Okay, let's do some tippy tap 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 stuff right now. Well, I'll just do a bit of talking while you're doing that. So, actually, yes, I'll do. This is an interesting point to bring up. So, like, if James Gunn was a producer, he wasn't the only choice for this movie. There was a few other people apparently in the race to do this. So obviously, it was David Ayer was one of the choices to come back and do this, but I think he was off doing. He was developing a Gotham's City Sirens movie, I think, so he didn't do this. Guy Ritchie was actually approached to do, or he had shown interest that he wanted to do this, which I think would have definitely lent into some of those like time jumps and stuff. One of the more interesting ones I saw, which was apparently Mel Gibson was rumored to be the front runner to direct this movie, which is actually quite funny because he was considered to be Batman in the first Batman movie with Tim Burton's 1989, but also played Two-Face in Batman Forever, which is an interesting fact I found out. But yeah, can you imagine a Mel Gibson Suicide Squad?
Would have been, I wouldn't say a lot more violent, but no, it'd be just a lot more anti-Semitic.
Anti-Semitic rants. But yeah, did you find out if James Gunn is a producer on Wanted?
Unclear.
Indecisive.
I'm not saying no, but if I just look up James Gunn Wanted, it comes up James Gunn Wanted from you for all these movies.
Click shopping and see what comes up. So you're looking to buy a James Gunn.
I am not very good at researching names.
Actually, yeah. So another thing I want to talk about as well is so that order came from Amanda Waller to get that information. I was kind of pissed off her character was made a bit of a joke at the end, where I felt like she was kind of over the top of it, which I enjoyed, but then she gets hit with like a something, and then the team supporting her kind of take control, and then at the end you just see her with an ice bag just looking out being like, look at those bastards. Whereas the Amanda Waller that I'm set up to know from kind of some of the comic stuff, but also this movie, she'd fucking have all those guys shot in the head. Like, there's no way she'd be like, well, you guys bested me today.
Yeah, I feel like she's scheming.
I hope she's scheming. What
I would have liked to see, I think, just thinking of there now actually, a fantastic post-credit scene would have been Suicide Squad number 3 and just that room of people being sent on a mission.
Oh, like all jumping out of the thing?
Yeah,
she's got bombs in their head.
Yeah,
that would have been good.
That would have been a fantastic scene.
Yeah.
They should have done that.
Fuck, that was good, man. This is why we need to be executive producers. we need those parking spots on the lot.
Yeah. I know what I am happy though is that someone actually did hit her.
Yeah.
Because in the first movie, people are like, oh no, don't do this, but then they'll just stand back. I know she had a gun or something like that, but...
Yeah, she's a character you just want to see get some fucking just desserts.
Yeah.
And it's funny that, I don't know, one of the computer analysts gets her. Or whatever, I can't remember what they were all kind of indescribed. They were all computer nerds. Right. Javelin scene. You're right. You want to talk about it? You good?
So javelins are more pointy than bullets. So effectively, like, you can see it a mile away. So in the final battle, they're all trying to just shoot bullets at this big starfish. It's not working. He's bulletproof. But then you see Harley Quinn going off with a javelin and run along the side of buildings.
Because the whole movie, she's been thinking there's a greater purpose for this javelin.
Yeah, there's always been a greater purpose for this javelin. You know it's going to call back somewhere.
Yeah.
So then you see the giant starfish with a giant eye. I'm like, well, you know where this is going. It's a bullseye. You know where this is going to go. But I'm like, fair enough. Okay, let her jump in, stab it with a javelin. But then bullets were fine.
It's a magical javelin, Mark.
But at least show it to be a magical javelin somewhere in the movie.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I don't know, look, you can't complain that much.
You can't. I think this is where the rats thing got to be, because all the rats run into the eye and start like burrowing through the nerves and shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, I'm good here. I didn't need to see that.
Didn't need to see this at all.
I don't like the idea of
millions
rats,
of rats
being in my eyes. You know, Rat in the Kitchen by, UB40, that's perfectly fine. Rat in My Eyes by James Gunn, no thank you.
Yeah, that was a nasty scene, but I did enjoy the fact that Bloodshot was still carrying a little bit. He still wasn't.
Yeah, because the whole thing about apparently his dad tortured him with rats and shit like that. So you
Yeah.
see, and there's no Ratcatcher 2 has nothing but love for everyone, and it's something taught by her father, played by Taika Waititi.
Yeah, he got $1 billion on it as well in the scene.
Yeah, what did you think? I thought he was a bit like. I guess my reasoning was, I was like, they couldn't use him a lot because I bet you Marvel were probably like, you're not let be in this movie. So I reckon James Gunn was like, look, I have this tiny part that you can play. But I was kind of like, I would like seeing more, but...
I like to see him, but like, there's not a character I'd say, oh, I wish he played this character. And I don't think he needed Ratcatcher 1 in it.
I would love to see him play Dr. Freeze.
But like, I think he'd be fantastic at that. I know, I just think it was a fun little cameo.
I would like to freeze you today.
Like, I put that in the same thing of like...
It is us to meet you. What killed... No, it's going bad. Sorry, go, keep talking. The accents are fading.
It's starting bad. No, I put that in the same line as Matt Damon in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah,
Brad Pitt as Invisible Man in Deadpool 2.
What are the funniest superhero movies?
Yeah. Not the funniest.
No, could tell you what they is. I looked it up. I was waiting to bring this back, so I looked up a thing. Apparently, number 1 is Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 2 is Thor Ragnarok. Number 3, Deadpool. Number 4, Ant-Man. Number 5, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Number 6, which is actually number 1 in my opinion, funniest superhero movie. It's none other than 1994 Jim Carrey's The Mask. Continue with your point. Somebody stop me.
I can't remember my point.
You were talking about like the smaller cameos in the Marvel stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I just think it's saying it's like, oh cool, he's there. Nothing more. Like, if he wants to be in a DC movie again, he can. But clearly don't care about continuity.
Yeah.
I think it was just like nice. I was like, that's how good he.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, those rats at the end were fucking disgusting in the eye. So just
what I did think was going to happen actually, because I don't know how that machine works where she can control rats. Mm-hmm. I thought she's somehow going to control the starfish.
Oh yeah,
I thought it was going that way.
Yeah,
I'm happy with the rat. At least it doesn't magically have a different power.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. Yeah.
But no, I thought it was good. What was your favourite kind of like scene in Soul like? Because there's so many like distinct scenes.
My
in this
least
movie.
favourite is the horrible font that I could barely read at times.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
So there's like, I understand what he was kind of doing, where it was kind of like an artistic way of kind of like naming sections of the movies, but there's some bits where, you know, there's a character's name in like Twisted Metal and it give me and I remember I was sitting beside my mate John and it was just like, oh jeez, they don't give you a lot of time for these.
I think Fiona said to me as well, she's like, what's the words?
But I think my favourite scene, there's a lot of it. I think it's just a lot of the humour. I think the mom job coming back like at the end where he sees the giant starfish as by the way, him dying, fuck that. I can't believe they're not bringing him back now. That was the death I was the most angry about.
I think I was sad about it, but I don't think he can do much else.
I know you can't do much else, but like, give him a fucking HBO Max. I know you can't. I know you can't.
He's the type of character. He's perfect in the amount he's in it.
Yeah, I know.
Anymore, and it's like you're doing the same
I was
thing
sad,
over and
Mark.
over.
Let me process my emotions. I support Spurs. All right, everything is sadness. But yeah, I think favorite. I think that camp scene at it was great. Where they're killing all the rebels. I think just the timing of the beach stuff was great too. I did love that scene with King Shark and the jellyfish, and then they turned out to be Milton. It's just there's so many great moments. I haven't had like a chance to think of a favourite moment, but I think there's enough moments in it that would actually warrant me going back to rewatch it, which is very rare to say about a lot of movies.
Yeah, completely. I suppose as well, going forward, where do you think this new Peacemaker series is going to go?
So I think they initially came out and said it was a prequel to try and let people know that he could die in the movie. So I just see, I'm very hesitant because I'm like, I feel like the character John Cena played could be very much compared with what's his name, I'm forgetting it, from The Boys, Homelander from The Boys. I feel like they're kind of the same character in that they're like a douchebaggy, you know, he's a bit more of a douchebaggy Captain America, whereas Homelander's a bit more of a douchebaggy Superman. But yeah, I would just like the idea of just Homelander just being not Homelander, Peacemaker, just I don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah, I think when I first heard about it being made in the series, oh, that's cool, he's a fun character, but is he just going to go on missions and be ruthlessly killing people, or is it going to be like he has an actual backstory?
Yeah.
So, or is it going to be him going for revenge because we see in a post-credit scene, which is not worth saying for after 10 minutes?
Yeah, sorry. Mark was so ready to leave, and I was just like, no, there's an end credit scene you gotta wait for it. And then it's just him being like, he's still alive! He got shot in the heart and a building crashed on him, but he's still alive.
Yeah, so like, he's a good character, and John Cena is very good at playing him. They clearly think some of him that he's more to go in it.
Yeah.
I think he's the only character getting a spin-off.
As far as I'm aware, yeah, but like I think I'd love to see Bloodsport and more stuff. Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie's definitely going to show up in more stuff. I don't know what the budget is to have King Shark and more stuff, but I imagine he'd be coming back too. Ratcatcher seemed too important to not bring back. Or even have her own spin-off or be in other movies or something like. I don't know how it's all going to interconnect, but I think a lot of these characters could have legs to be in more stuff.
Yeah, I actually heard a rumour that Margot Robbie, well, Harley Quinn, was going to die in it.
Yeah, I heard that as well.
Just because it was going to be her send-off, she's going to die just to prove that anybody can be killed.
Yeah.
I'm happy she didn't die. She's quite good at Harley Quinn.
I want to see her do her own fucking story. So, just for the Ono Boyles listening, which is my previous housemate, he loves the Harley Quinn animated show, and it's a show I'm yet to watch, and I know I need to watch it. Have you watched it?
I've seen clips of it.
It's apparently the best fucking thing ever, and I know it's the best fucking thing ever. It's just difficult to, you know, the way like you could try and find it through alternative, sources, but effort. So I need to watch it. But I think to have something on par of that in the live action stuff, Margot Robbie, I would like to see her be given that chance. Also, for the Ono Boyles listening as well, I've also heard that King Shark in the movie is not as good as it is in the animated show. So.
Yeah, I didn't think he would be.
Yeah.
I'm guessing in the animated show he's not a big dopey child guy.
I honestly couldn't tell you, but I think I don't know, but I just know apparently he's not as good. But yeah, I want to see more of that. I want to see Poison Ivy, but I want to see Margot Robbie have her own movie that's just her being a fucking badass and not having to worry about some creepy dude, lurking after her.
She can definitely do a lot more going forward, I feel.
Yeah, and when you've considered that like Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey had so much behind the scenes drama, and this was fine, like I'd love for her to have her own movie that's just like no drama, one of those very skilled, like just a very skilled director, just run along with that story and see what happens. But I have a question for you now to end this, which is, Mark Tuddy, Hollywood come to you, they're like, we need a Suicide Squad 3, but you're allowed to use any of the DC villains to date.
DC villains to date.
From any of the movies, TV shows, whatever.
Like, I can't actually remember any. Like, DC, or it has to be Marvel or DC?
No, DC. Anything from the old Batman movies, the Superman movies.
I suppose all them. Yeah. Bane, I'd love to see Bane in it.
Which Bane, though?
Oh. I think it would be the new Bane.
The new Bane?
Yeah.
I would say both Banes. Double Bane.
Double Banes. Get them. I think Scarecrow could be good in it.
Which one? Cillian Murphy?
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
Mr. Freeze has to be in it.
Oh, he has to be in, absolutely.
Yeah. As well as Penguin. The Penguin.
Danny DeVito? Yeah. Or the one from the Gotham TV show?
No, Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'd be great in it. And then going, I suppose, a bit more niche. Groot the Gorilla.
Killer Grodd?
Killer Grodd the Gorilla?
Grodd. It's Grodd, yeah.
Yeah. Grodd the Gorilla.
Grodd, that'd be cool.
Yeah, just in the Flash TV series, he was quite good in that. You can't really get a superhero because they've become too powerful.
Ah, yeah, but you kill him off or her off.
Yeah, you can have a comic moment where the opposite Flash, whatever they're called at that time.
Reverse Flash. Jesus Christ.
Just falls over. Yeah, like, as much as I'd love to see like some characters I've already seen, like Penguin, Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Joining together, I am enjoying seeing these new characters who you never would have thought of.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
Oh, for me, I only thought of that during it. I was like, man, wouldn't it be great to like do like an Avengers style crossover with all the old villains? You haven't seen Space Jam 2, have you?
No, I can't wait to see it.
Definitely for the best. Don't stay away from that movie. I'd love to see Arnie opposite Jack Nicholson as the Joker. But then, oh no, not even Jack Nicholson, but it's Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, and he's just in a fridge, and he's like, it's nice to be cold. And then, I don't know, who else could you get? You could get, what are they like weird, like is Lex Luthor.
Why the fuck am I here?
Yeah, just like, I think it'd be so funny. And I think that's what Flashpoint is like so class to be able to do, is like you can cross over all this stuff.
But also the concept of just like them not caring of continuity.
Oh, it's fucking great. Like,
this is why these movies can actually happen.
Yeah,
you can now talk about these movies because, like, yeah, it might happen. DC don't care anymore.
Yeah, love it.
Who cares about? Well, I think people would care if you're in it.
But yeah, and I think that's the Suicide Squad. Anything else to add before we finish this up?
No, I think that's pretty much it. It's just great to be back in the cinema as
Isn't
well.
It?
Like, that's something we never mentioned. Like, it is just nice going, like, 6 was went, all friends, all just vaccinated, just being able to do that again just felt like normal.
Yeah, and I think there's like there is some class movies coming up that we're hopefully going to cover on the podcast. So like, I'm not saying go to the cinema but if you feel safe to it, there's some really good movies coming out down the pipeline. And I think this could be one that is definitely worth checking out. Like, I remember having to watch Godzilla v Kong on my like TV at home, and just thinking to myself, fuck, it'd be class if I could see this in the cinema. And I think this is one of those movies where you kind of really want to go see it in the cinema.
Yeah, like, look, I'm sure anybody listening to this podcast is like a generally a big.
Hi, Mom.
My dad is generally a big like moviegoer anyway, but like the cinema did generally feel safe.
Yeah.
If you are worried about COVID, you are well spaced out. You sit beside your group. Like it was a good experience. I enjoyed it. There's a full row in front of us.
Yeah.
Like we could put our feet up.
As someone that hates people, I felt very nice not having many people around me.
So yeah, definitely if you're like myself who hadn't been to a movie in probably a year and a half, you do, and people are like, oh no, should I watch movies at home? It's fine.
It's not the same.
You forget how good going to the movies are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not the same. You forget how good it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well I suppose like the last thing to say that's good to be able to do it again. It's good to do podcasts with you again, Mark Tuddy.
Oh, yeah, I enjoyed it. I did miss it. It's been a good while.
It's been a long while. Sorry.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. First face-to-face podcast was fun.
Isn't it? It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's way better. Sometimes you just don't know where to look.
I did sometimes nod.
Yeah.
So sorry if anyone's like and Gary asked me a question and you just hear silence because I'm nodding.
But no, seriously, thanks. I know you like literally live on the opposite side of that wall, but I'll say thanks for dropping by into the official podcast studio,
which used to be my closet.
Yeah. So Mark, no, cheers. Thanks for coming on and doing it.
I know, I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime. We'll have to, because your next one's the 5th one. That's going to be a big one. We're gonna have to think of something for that now.
I'll start thinking.
Yeah, tell you what, the best way to think I find is be the uncle to Lewis Capaldi and stick a lot of weird like probes in your head and have sex with rats. Nah, that's just me. Call me old-fashioned.
Whatever gets you going through your exams.
But yeah, also I want to say thanks to anyone who's listened to this or any of the other ones. If you want to keep up to date on the podcast, you can follow @ReelingInThePeers on Instagram. I think you can follow on Spotify, subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Again, thank you very much. We hope you enjoy. Goodbye.